I understand that this story is still fresh, just happened a few days ago. I just got some more information in right now. They actually just released the name of the police officer that shot Jacob Blake, and then some more information came out about what actually happened. It said that a female, a, August 23rd, after a female caller said her boyfriend was not supposed to be on the premises. During the incident, police tried to arrest Blake, deploying a taser. Call said Officer Rustin Shesky later shot Blake after the taser did not stop him. Attorney General said no other officers fired their weapon. Shesky has been with the police department for 7 years. Blake later told the police he had a knife in his possession, and a knife was found on the vehicle's driver's side floorboard. Call said no other weapons were found in the vehicle. So after hearing this information, how do you guys feel about it? Do you still feel like he should have been shot?
No.
No, I don't. But this so I have a comment.
Absolutely not.
Anton, I know you're about to say something next, but this is my comment that kind of goes back to what we were just talking about earlier with the thing is the conversation on how it's handled. I believe that how the issue is handled always creates this domino effect. One thing I almost want to say really, we talked about the community policing. It's a concept, but the thing is, we always have these new taglines for things that we used to do before, whatever you want to call it. But when we had the guardian angels, block clubs really having a presence, that was an aspect of community policing. But the thing is, it's almost how we treat education, the government, and everything else. We always treat law enforcement now that, there's an issue, they need to come fix this because I got an issue with my family member that I'm arguing, so they need to come and figure out who issue this is. We don't hold any accountability as well with being able to de-escalate within our own communities. That's the part that, I'm not excusing the issue of the police, because the thing is, the police, they come in with already a charged environment. But before the police is called, before someone dials or they're in the neighborhood, I always want to know, how can we be more accountable of the actions in our own neighborhoods even before police gets there? Because by the time police gets there, it's about 30, 40 some people outside. Everybody's upset, it's charged, people mad, people frustrated. And then now the cop come in, same level of disrespect. And just like any argument you got in a relationship, both people can't be yelling at each other because we're never going to hear each other's side. So I know this may be against how people may feel about this, but the aspect of community policing is almost like, how do we hold ourselves accountable? Same thing with education. The teachers need to teach better. No. What am I doing as a parent to ensure that I'm doing what I need to do? There's not enough jobs, so that it's the government. They need to create more jobs. No. What am I also doing to create jobs? So the thing is, I think there still is so many layers to this, but that is one layer I do want to bring up. It goes both ways. I'm not excusing the issue that I have with how individual officers treat individuals, whether they're guilty or not. It's all about how it's handled, but also how do we also handle that within our own communities? If we have a more laissez-faire approach and we feel that we invite these officers that's not from our community, hey, come in and fix this because they messing stuff up. What are we doing? If we know that house, mentioned this, is like 2 or 3 houses on our block that we know are the problem houses. What are we doing to actually address the issue within our own neighborhood? And that's something I'm talking to myself as well. What am I doing in my neighborhood? If I see some wrongdoing, am I just looking the other way like, hey, well, ain't my problem. Police need to come.
So based off of this new information, because, I've just been incredibly patient and everything like that. It speaks to exactly what it is that I said from the very beginning, and that, like, what was the ideal outcome of him opting out of, I'm using opting out, like, as the nice words. What was the ideal outcome of him getting out of this tussle and this struggle with the police, in which the taser, they tried to use a non-lethal form, a non-lethal weapon to subdue him. And then he got out, went all the way over and went into his car. And now you're saying that they found a knife and all this other type of stuff. And first of all, let's really put it into context, because I hate being the guy to have to say this. Why was he there in the first place when he wasn't supposed to be there and the girl had to call the police? Based off of the information that you just said. You see what I'm saying? It's almost like, so now I have to be outraged, right? I have to take this approach because I'm Black. I have to subject myself to the idea that I'm afraid of police officers, when in reality, and this is just me personally, every single interaction that I've ever had with a police officer was phenomenal. Like, it was great. They actually helped me in a lot of situations. In the other situations where I got pulled over, I was doing something I really wasn't supposed to be doing. Realistically, I got pulled over for a valid reason. So my point is that I'm not saying that anybody should die, but I'm just saying, are we asking ourselves these questions similar to what Brandon just emphasized is, if you know what house is the problem house on your block, why are you inviting a police officer to come in and solve the problem for you when you already understand as a community where the issue lies? Everybody know who the dope men are. Everybody know who the jack boys are. Everybody know who killed who. It's way before a police officer ever steps in. So at what point do we take some personal accountability in what our community looks like, right? And what was the ideal circumstance of him going to the car after getting out of the whole situation where the taser didn't even work? What was supposed to happen after that? Like, are we really having these real conversations? And for the sake of time, because I know we got this whole new format and everything, I wanted to make sure that everybody got their due in, and Tawana said what she wanted to say, and B-Nix had his insight, and O had really great conversation as it relates to what insight that he gave in context that people don't even look for. Nobody is having conversations with police officers to see what they think. Nobody understands that they actually do live in these communities that they're policing, and people are possibly following them home for the precinct. You know what I'm saying? So, and this is a guy that y'all know. Like, this ain't no stranger. This ain't just no regular guy. This is a guy that y'all would call a friend. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we so easy to jump to a conclusion. We so easy to adopt a narrative that continues to train other people that may not even be as wise as we are. They may not be as responsible as we are, to go out and do things towards a specific group of people that may not necessarily have anything to do. Like, for example, O said that he got on the police force to, in his mind, change the narrative to continue to be a part of the solution versus the problem. And now look at what it is that he's afraid of every single day as a result of trying to do something to help his own community. And again, like, it's very difficult for me to have these conversations because I don't want to be the guy to always say it and then I'm the bad guy, when in actuality, nobody is really asking the questions that need to be asked. Nobody is asking these questions. But like I said, for the sake of time, I'm gonna let that be.
I disagree with the whole idea that people hate the police, are afraid of the police. I think that a lot of what the conversations are, especially what I hear, even with the Black Lives Matter movement, for everybody, what we want to do is we want to partner with the police. We want to dismantle this whole institutionalized racism and this idea.
I guess that's why they burned up the police departments.
But this whole idea that people are aggressive just because they're Black, or being targeted because they're Black, we want to dismantle that whole system. And nobody is saying that they hate the police, and absolutely the police are necessary and we need them in our communities, but we don't need we don't need more corrupt behavior than the positive behavior. We need it to be a balance. So we need to be able to feel free that, oh, I'm not just going to be pulled over and harassed because I'm Black. And I'm great that you had positive experiences, Anton, but I've had some negative experiences, and I am a law-abiding citizen. I barely.
But nothing that you described. Nothing that you described. Nothing. Not one. Nothing that you described.
And I've had very, very negative experiences with police officers.
Nothing that you described
positive as well
qualifies as a negative experience. And I'm not saying that your experiences wasn't negative, but all I'm saying is this narrative that we're supporting. Hold on. Everybody is out there.
But I didn't interrupt you when you was talking. You interrupted me. Right. I didn't interrupt you.
I mean, you wasn't here for half.
I understood where
I got you. You wasn't here for half of what I was saying, but I got you.
No. I listened even when I was on my little break. I told him I was listening to the entire conversation. So I heard everything that was said. So I'm not coming in with partial information. Like, I heard you, I heard B-Nix, I heard the entire conversation. I just want it to be said that I've had negative experiences. What I've seen in a lot of different cases is excessive force. I don't see any justification for some of the things that is done to these individuals. And I think I know B. Nick said, yes, filming, are we more sensitive now because we see it on, are we interpreting it wrong? And I honestly feel like it's bringing to light things that people have been saying since the Fuck the Police by NWA. Like, people have been saying that they have been harassed and that they have been criticized. Like, people have been saying this for years and years and years, and we haven't had proof. And now people are actually exposing police officers, like George Floyd in his case, and him just resting on that man's neck during that entire conversation for a $20 counterfeit bill. Like, these are issues. Sandra Bland, she didn't deserve the treatment that she got, even when she got arrested. It's so many different instances.
I agree with you, Tawana.
Where it's not even justifiable. There is no reason why police officers escalate.
And I see you just glossed over completely all of the new facts that JR just gave you too. You never even addressed none of that.
I read those facts already, so I knew that he had been tased.
So why didn't you take that into consideration when
he
gave your assessment in the beginning?
Just like
you still got the same narrative.
But just like you're jumping to the conclusion that he did deserve it, and that the officers acted on good faith.
I never said that. I never said
looking
that
at
he
what I'm
deserved
saying,
it.
and I'm saying to myself that the officers he did not deserve to die for those things. And I do think that he was afraid because he had a knife on him that police officers would kill him because he had a knife on him. And I do think that he was afraid for that reason. And I do think that's why that whole thing escalated, because he was probably trying to get rid of it for whatever reason. And the officers acted. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm not saying that he shouldn't have complied with the officer. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that I don't think he deserved to die.
But you never said it in the first place. It ain't about what you're not saying. It's the things that you're omitting and what it is that you are saying. And so my point is that you can't just have one part of the narrative and that be the conclusion. Number one, I never said he did deserve to die.
You only have one part of the narrative.
I said that he didn't deserve to die just like everybody else. Wait a minute. You just said that you ain't want to interrupt me either, right? But like I said,
but you broke that rule several times, so I guess.
And that's fair. I'm with that. I'm with that smoke. I'm with that smoke. But the whole point is that I never said that he deserved to die. I said specifically that he didn't. You said that okay. All right. Go ahead. For the sake of time, go ahead and do it.
He deserved to die. I never said that.
Can I interject?
Go ahead.
All right. So I want to look at this from the aspect of just kind of staying with the current story with Jacob Blake, but also based on our guests we had. The thing is, it does not justify the behavior, even though he didn't die though. No pun intended with that, but he didn't die. But the thing is, he still was shot multiple times in his back. And the thing is, whatever the issue was, it does not justify being shot multiple times in your back. There, like I think somebody mentioned on the chat, far as being able to de-escalate, to be able to diffuse a situation. I feel that's something that has been a trend of not happening, specifically with Black folks, regardless of culture. The thing is, like, hey, their job is to serve and protect. The thing is, I always feel like shooting should be the last option to shoot someone. And it seems like it's becoming more of the first option. And really, not even now, but just the fact that it's being recorded. This is always
a question,
many years before we was born. But the thing is, I want to also be clear, going back to that, all of us are different individuals. And the thing is, for anyone that follows this, our podcast we do, I hate blanket statements. And the thing is, we always use these blanket statements when we talk about, all cops. We just had on here. I've been knowing since I was in 8th grade. I got much respect for that brother. Went to school with that brother. And the thing is, I don't put him in that category because he wasn't the one who pulled the trigger. But the thing is, when we start saying like, cops, plural,
agreed,
that's everyone. And the thing is, it perpetuates the same narrative when we say like, Black people, blah, 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 blah. White people, blah, 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 blah. Gay people,
agreed,
blah, 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 blah. So now people latch on to these stereotypes and assume they're fact, where it's like, that's what all cops do. That's what all Black people do. That's what all white people do. That's what all women do. And the thing is, we always go wrong when we make these broad generalizations based on a group of people, based on our group identity. Was the issue with Jacob Blake, was it wrong? Yes, it was. It could have been handled differently. But the thing is, for me to say like, oh, all law enforcement, all officers, it's unfair. It's almost like saying like, hey, if I'm a Lewis, right? If I'm a Lewis and that's my last name, I'll say like, oh yeah, you know, the Lewises, they all crazy. Now, is that the case?
It might be.
No. I mean, maybe Tawana is, but the thing is, I'm not going to sit up there and say everybody in her family is a certain way. So I think that this really kind of speaks to another layer of the social emotional intelligence on how we're able to look and contextualize each individual situation. Yes, there is a trend. Yes, we've seen this time and time again. But the thing is, we need to continue to address those particular issues as they occur. But I refuse to sit up here and say that all cops are bad when I got family and friends that serve in law enforcement in multiple areas. So the thing is, I can't talk about, let's say, Tawana, and she a Lewis, and be her friend, and then say, I hate all the Lewises. Oh, you just different. No. Because us being all black, we're different too, but we're always having to deal with being painted with this broad brush that all black people, we drink, we like chicken, we like all these stereotypes, right? And we have to defend this time and time again for many generations beyond us. My only thing is saying right now, with the current issue at hand in Kenosha, it was wrong. It was wrong, and the thing is, that should be addressed.
I think that that's semantics though. Like just saying, okay, because some people just say cops. They don't mean all cops. You know,
they don't say that though.
Yes,
but that's not what people mean though.
We can't assume. So when folks say black people, it's like, oh, I didn't mean all black people.
Yes.
And then we get the whole, oh, well, no, you're different. You're not one of those.
But you have to dismantle the entire institution. You have to talk about the academy as a whole. Like you can't say, okay, let me just think about these individual cops. When you see that 1 out of every 1,000 black men is dying from police, like you can't say, okay, it's just this individual cop or just that individual cop. You have to dissect the entire institution of it, the community. And so that's why people say police officers, not to say, oh, all of you all are the same. And I think we've acknowledged that several times, that there are great police officers, that I have a good relationship with police officers in my community. Like we've all acknowledged that. So I think that
you can't say that. That's like somebody saying, I got a black friend. Just because it's not right to have a specific narrative towards a group of people don't mean that you're authorized to speak towards a group of people, and then people are automatically supposed to be able to dissect your language and your verbiage to understand exactly what it is that you're trying to say. If we don't like people indicating or highlighting a specific group of people, such as black people, all in one group, you can't specifically do that to any other group, whether it be the race of their skin, their job, their profession, their sexuality, whatever, their gender. You can't, women don't like it when you say women do this.
And people do it all the time. And we
don't make it right.
That's and we move on.
No, we don't move on. We have conversations that say, no, you can't do that. And then we try to change the narrative. That's what we're trying to work towards, which means that you can't do that as it relates to police officers either. You can't use a blanket statement like B. Nick said, because they are all different. They are all individuals. They all have different circumstances and different things that they deal with on a daily basis, different levels of training. Even O said that he could scrap, but he know a lot of police officers that can't. It's a different scenario that he would have to be placed in, that he would probably do a lot better versus a different police officer that was in that same scenario that didn't have his same skill set or was raised where he was raised. So you got to have a different narrative if you want people to treat you differently also. You can't use that same perspective towards everybody and then say, but don't do it towards me when it's convenient for you to do it. You can't have that.